Any questions in the previous session? So maybe I will try to recap, so it will help you. So we have discussed, so what are the prerequisite steps that needs to be followed if you want to perform an SAP ECC and SAP BODS integration? And the steps involved are like, whatever SAP BODS actually providing us some transports, those transports have to be imported onto your SAP system, ACC system. Those transports are nothing but function modules. Those function modules are shipped with a function group. Those function modules are nothing but ABAP programs. So they are already written and given by the SAP along with the installation of an SAP BODS. And once those are imported on the ECC system using transport mechanism, and we will start using all your SAP ECC different objects like tables, hierarchies, IDOCs, BAPs, functions, and extractors. We have gone through that. We have actually the 4 types of an extractors. We have gone through like attribute type of an extractors, text type of an extractor, hierarchy type of an extractor, and the transaction type of an extractor. These are the 4 types of an extractors we have. And so it depends upon the extractors. But so if you want to get only attribute and text, or if you want to get a hierarchy and also transaction type of an extractor, so you need to have identify whether your extractors are ODP API enabled extractors or ODP API non-enabled extractors. In previous section, we have observed that we are able to see only 2 extractors. So one is called as an attribute type of an extractor, and another one is called text type of an extractor. So it means to say that our demo system is not ODP API enabled extractor. So that's the reason why whatever the extractors, default extractors we have, like hierarchies and transaction type of an extractor, so you would not able to see those extractors. And if you are an ABAPer, if your past experience is as an ABAPer, then you can always create your own extractors, and you can make and you can allow them to have an access by the third-party systems, by the BODS kind of systems. Then you can get all the extractors. And also we have gone through that if you have selected an attribute type of an extractor, so you have something called a CDC, change data capture. When I'm talking about CDC, we have discussed 2 types of CDC that we have discussed. One is called a source-based CDC, another one is called a target-based CDC. When I say source-based CDC, so we have something called as, in the source-based CDC, so we have like whatever the records that we need to have as part of a delta, that we will get it from the source system directly. Rather than getting and comparing in the SAP BODS, we are going to get those all the changes records from source itself, and gets compared to the target, and you can load it to the target system. So that is what actually happens with the source-based CDC. That source-based CDC is exists in the extractors. And if you are creating your own extractors in an ABAP program, in the ECC system, so what you can do is you can always have that CDC, source-based CDC also can be applicable. If you remember in the last session, we have gone through that option where actually how to check that. But normally it won't be used in any projects. So the reason. So you have to don't worry about that. Say some extractor is not available. If you have a requirement, then you have to simply ask what is an extractor. If they ask you, okay, what is the CDC column? So you have to ask them actually on which column they are requiring a CDC. So all the information that you will be provided, that you have to ask them. For the BODS, it doesn't matter. For the BODS consultant, it doesn't matter whether it is an SAP system, whether it is a non-SAP system. It doesn't matter for the SAP BODS guy. Oh yes, actually the server we're trying to use it, it seems to be down. That's the reason why I'm trying to call on the server guy to check on that. Okay, not a problem. We'll try to log into different server. Yeah, so I'm trying to connect to server. So by the time it will come up, so actually we will see in today's session. So we have gone through, like in previous session, how the extractors all work and all and everything. We'll try to drag and drop an extractor. We'll try to load the data into the target system. Load the data into target system. I mean to say into a SQL server. That we will try now. If we have an extractor, since it's an text server, and also like that's what we have discussed in the previous session, a type of an extractors. Now once that is completed, so we will see that. So extraction from BW, SAP BW system. So what are the objects where we can extract the data from SAP BW? That we will see that. So here we see that already the data store is configured. So let us see what they have on our everything. Now we will see that by the time it will come up, the extraction from SAP BW, how it will goes out and all and everything. Similarly, what we have discussed in the previous session for an SAP applications type of data store, what we need to have on all and everything. For an SAP BW also, we need to have a SAP BODS transports needs to be deployed onto SAP BW system. That is one thing. Once that part is completed, so what actually happens? So with the above step, so all the function modules will get loaded into source system. So after that, what you can do is you will have a similar, like you can access open have table. So what are the like objects that you have an access? We have an access. So one is called as open hub tables. Other one is called as the application tables, or you can say that normal tables. You have something called as an IDOCs, as usual. You can have something called as functions. What else we have? Let us see. So here we are not able to connect. Let us see. We will create our own data store. New SAP BW underscore connection. So we have to create an SAP BW source. And what is the database server? Database server would be something like, what is the BODS server? We have to see now. I'm going to the properties of the SAP logon so that I can get a details of an SAP BW. So, right. get all the details. Okay, it's a MICA NH9 instance number. Application server is MICA NH9, instance number 09 HD9. SAP BW source MICA NH9. HM9, sorry. So HM9. The username would be something like BODS. Also 001. So I've given a password. Now scroll down. So what is the client number? So double click on it so that we will know the client number. 200 is the client number. We'll try to apply on it. Okay. Now, if I double click on this, see here, I'm able to see idocs, function, open up tables and tables. These are the 4 types of objects that you are able to see here. Okay, so having this particular knowledge, if you double click on this on an SAP BW connection, it says that you are not authorized to perform this operation. You are not authorized to do this. It seems to be we have some rights problem whenever you are trying to communicate with an SAP BW system. We will try it on the different server and we will see that. So let's fix the problem. BW, where is my BW? We'll try to create BW underscore connection, BW source, and similarly, so we will try to perform the same activity. We are trying, like in 3 servers actually. Because of these reasons, normally I used to have alternatives, so because it will create a problem for me. So HANA and 2, 3, 4. Therefore, not invalidated state. 8. We will check again whether it is up. This is not up. Mm. So I'm trying to check whether an existing data stores or doesn't have a problem, or so we'll see. We will proceed from there. If still have a problem, we will try to change it, our topic for the day, like loading into SAP HANA. So that we can do. That's not a problem. So we will check on ECC at least. Yesterday we see that some ECC are working. So we will check that. Mm. So we will check on the ECC properties. We will try to get, okay, Mica EC7. Mica EC7. You have port 1, client number is 800. And so if you go to the property, you will see this instance number is 06. Apply, let us see. Oh, it is successful. It is a ECC connection is successful. Double click on the ECC connection, click on the external metadata. Now we have something called as hierarchies that are listed. These are all the existing hierarchies you have. You have to simply drag and drop the hierarchies, what we have discussed in the previous session, and you have to proceed from there. What is this? Is the data? This is the information we have. Where is our data store? Can anybody tell me what is our data store name? I forgot actually. Origin underscore connection. Okay, got it. This is my data store name. Similarly, we will try to give an SAP BW also. Why it is not coming up? So SAP BW as a source. So as you have seen here, right, we are already given and we don't have a rights on it, right? So that's what we have observed here. So let me add to the server guide. and if he is there, then I'm trying to create another data store and another. I'm trying to create another Oh shit, I'm sorry guys, I'm just muted, I'm just speaking. Okay, so what I'm saying is because the server guy is working on it, so in the meantime we will change the topic. So today's session we will see that. So the SAP BODS and SAP HANA connectivity. The SAP HANA is a technology where we are going to see that the allowing the processing of huge quantities of real-time data in the main memory of the server. So that is what actually we are going to see that. So when I say like SAP HANA, so do you have any idea? So would you like to add anything apart from what I have told you till now? So any guys, anybody guys, Chandra, Don, so Meena, so Mike. So do you want to add anything like what I have told? So what do you know about an SAP HANA? Do you already know about an SAP HANA? Any guesses should be fine, guys. So would you like to add anything? Okay. So as I mentioned previously, the SAP HANA is a technology where it allows the processing of huge quantities of real-time data in the main memory of the server to provide near real-time examples or results from the transactions. So that is what actually happens from an SAP HANA standpoint. So the SAP HANA technical innovations. What are all the technical innovations of an SAP HANA? Where we can, identify that more features from hardware technology standpoint and from software the technology standpoint. So when I say hardware technology standpoint, we have something called as multi-core technology. So what that we are referring here. So when I say multi-core technology, so it will have like 8 by 8 core CPU. So you know that. So how many core CPU normally our personal PCs we are using it? So hardly you will use 2 core CPU or 4 core CPU or like maximum of 8 core CPU. Okay, but you don't see 8 by 8 core CPU. Okay, so that's where actually you can say that. So one laptop, so you will be having 2 core, 4 core, and 8 core. But our the SAP HANA system, it will have 64 core CPU, so per blade. So that is where actually you have to. It will like what you call as the it will give us the response time very less. And because of this particular reason, it will release more number of parallel processing threads. This more number of parallel processing threads from SAP HANA hardware technology will facilitate to perform multiple operations at the same time rather than waiting for other operations to complete and the sequence. And so we will see that. So all the processes will be completed simultaneously. This kind of an activity makes us very strong in an SAP HANA world because so all the people across the globe they want to see that at real time reporting. When they say real time reporting, they want to have a record. If whenever any record got entered in your source system, that record they would like to immediately see in the reporting. So that report has to pass through all stages like cleansing stage, ETL stage, and everything it has to pass through and it has to return the target system within no time. So that is what actually, so that's the main purpose of an SAP HANA. So the time, so for the transaction that has happened and the time when it is available in the reporting after data warehousing load or after the report generation, I want to,
skip all these things, and I want to do an online ETL. I want to do a on the fly the calculation. So all those stuff that I would like to say. So because of that particular reason, it will almost reduce 450 times of your times. So that is where actually the innovation is comes up. So from hardware technology point of view, because of your 8 by 8 core CPU, so what actually happens is it will release more number of parallel processing threads. Because it is releasing more number of parallel processing threads, the SAP HANA technology it will be capable to perform more number of the operations at the same time simultaneously rather than waiting for the previous operation to complete. That is from the hardware technology standpoint. And from the software technology standpoint, as I mentioned, previously in first one or two sessions, initial sessions, where the SAP HANA is normally using the SAP-based technology. When I say SAP-based technology, whenever you have loaded any particular record into the target system, the data will get stored in the row store, but not in the column store. But whereas in SAP HANA, we have options, whether you want to store it in the column store or whether you want to store it in the row store. So if you have loaded the data in the column store, then you can take an advantage of your SAP HANA. When you load the data into a column store, you can take an advantage of your more number of parallel processing threads. Those will be in sync, column store records and the parallel processing threads. Those will be in sync, and they will give you simultaneously order by, they will give you simultaneously group by, they will give you simultaneously sort by, they will give you simultaneously some filter. So all these different kind of information that will be part of your roster or column store. That's the reason why. So all the data that will be stored in the SAP HANA will be the column store if you want to store it, and if you want to take an advantage of the existing functions within the SAP HANA, the existing parallel processing sets within SAP HANA. If you want to make use the hardware resources for effectively, then you have to go ahead with the column store technology. So once that is completed, so you have something called as compression. So when I say compression, the data will get compressed. So let us take an example that if you have a 200 GB of data, for the customer to verify, though the values or the customer ID called 001, maybe let us take an example. The column value customer and the value is 001. If you are trying to search that particular value in your what you call as in your data like 200 GB, it will take a lot of time. But if you search for the same customer 001 in the 20 GB, then it will take less number of data. That's the reason why. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to compress the data, and we will be loading the data into the target system called SAP HANA. So that is what actually happens. And similarly, whenever we are talking about partitioning, so when I say partitioning, so it depends upon the table, so depends upon the table values, we are going to partition the data. So that is what actually meant by partitioning. Similarly, you have something called as aggregation. So if you remember in our classic ETL, normally we are going to make use of an aggregation of your data. So when I say aggregation of your data, so you will be having a lot of points here to consider. The aggregation would be something like, so you're going to aggregate your data, and depends upon year, depends upon the quarter, depends upon the month, depends upon the week. Maybe you have to already pre-calculate the data, and as per the time variant, and store it in the table. And whenever you need a time-based information like year-wise, quarter-wise, and month-wise, and week-wise, you will simply drag and drop that respective table. So all the aggregations at each and every company code level, each and every what you call a district level, country level, the state level. So what are the calculations that you want to do of the sales revenue? You will
do, and you will have to do everything, what do you call it, at the database level, source level, where you will perform an aggregation of your table. And whenever the reporting requirements requires these type of requirements, then normally what we will do is we will try to simply drag and drop that respective table where that has a pre already the calculated data exists in that particular source table. Then you will simply drag and drop and you will proceed with an aggregation of your data. So you will proceed with the display of the aggregation of the table. So that is what actually happens in the normal databases like Oracle and SQL Server. But if you're trying to what you call as implement your ETL, or if you're trying to use in SAP HANA as a OLTP backend database, then there is no need to have any particular aggregation tables, because an SAP HANA is having unique runtime architecture. When I say runtime architecture, please do the calculations. Please write the calculations at your application level. Depends upon what you want to have. Whether you need sales revenue by year, whether you need sales revenue by quarter or month or week, or else if you need any filter, like where a customer is 001, that should be displayed in the report level. So all the stress will be taken care by the SAP HANA, and it will calculate everything in the SAP HANA level itself, and we will simply throw the result to the database, to the application layer for reporting. That's it. It is going to do that. So all the calculations will not happen at your application layer. All the calculations will be happen at your source level. I mean to say at SAP HANA. So that's the reason why you don't require any aggregation tables. And similarly, whatever so let us take an example that we have an ECC system. So after that, so we have loaded the data into SAP HANA. So if any new records got added into SAP ECC system, so it will accept the insert only on Delta. So all the inserts will be accepted. So that is what actually the innovations we have on the fly. So you don't have to do anything, any configuration in order to accept these deltas. So that's where actually we have innovations from hardware technology standpoint, innovations from software technology standpoint. So because of these two innovations, what actually we are going to do is, so we are going to make use of the existing requirement. What is the existing requirement? All the existing systems and all the SAP systems requires a backend database. So what SAP says that don't use a backend database of yours. Please migrate all your SAP like ECC systems backend databases to SAP HANA, because it will give you a lot of features, a lot of hardware technology innovations, a lot of software technology innovations. You can move your underlying database to what is called as the underlying database of ECC from Oracle or SQL Server to SAP HANA. So that is a strategy, and that is a suggestion from an SAP company from the technology innovation standpoint. Now we will see that where actually our current topic is a lot of our where we are like trigger-based real-time mechanism. We have ETL, we have data project. There are all the different ways connecting to the source system and loading into the target system, for example. If you talk about an SLT, so it is a trigger-based real-time data loading. It can talk to your SAP business could be W or non-SAP sources as well. If you talk about ETL batch, so we have no other choice, we have BODS. If you talk about a log based, so if it's log based, so that is you can also talk to
Okay, so if you have an SAP SLT server, it is a trigger based and it can talk to your SAP ECC system, SAP BW system, and non-SAP data sources even. If you talk about an ETL, so that is an SAP BODS. So it can talk to SAP ECC system, SAP BW system, and non-SAP data sources as well. Similarly, if you are talking about the log-based is nothing but the silent application server is responsible to perform the log-based replication. Okay, so this is what actually happens. So after that, so we have something called as an extractor batch. It's also another type of the criteria where you can perform your extraction, uh, and you will be loading into SAP HANA direct extraction method. That is what actually happens. So totally we have four, like the data provisioning methods we have. One is called as an SAP ECC, SLT server, and second one is called as an SAP BODS, and third one is called as Sybase application server, and fourth one is called as DXC, direct extraction method we have. So we are going to use the sidecar method for a DXC, but normally a lot of companies will go for either SLT or BODS currently. Whatever I see, like 90% of the projects are using the SLT and then ETL or SAP BODS. So we are going to, perform a data provisioning task. A lot of companies by trigger-based real-time and the ETL. That is from the data provisioning standpoint. So similarly, so if you have a trading and other mechanisms, other management systems where we have data will be populated each and every time, then we need to have an SAP PO, event insight or event streams where we can use those event streams in SAP Sybase event stream processor, and we will be loading into an SAP HANA. So that we can do that. Similarly, we have something called as network devices, wired and wireless. So data synchronization has to be done with SAP Sybase SQL Anywhere database. So out of all, these are all the different mechanisms and different ways of loading into an SAP HANA currently on the real time. So you have to understand that real time. So on the real time, the data has to be loaded from SAP ECC system into an SAP HANA and the SAP BW system and on data sources, what you have, what not, everything you have. So everything has to be extracted, everything has to be loaded into an SAP HANA using different methods. So this is where actually the data provisioning of an SAP HANA comes into the picture. So because we are here to discuss regarding the BODS, now we will concentrate on the BODS part of an ETL, how actually you're going to communicate with the SAP ECC system, and how actually you're going to load the data into the target system. So how you're going to do all these things from the data provisioning part of an SAP HANA, that we will see that. So having this particular knowledge, so regarding, so did you understand first of all? So because it is very, important the points to understand more all. So where actually our BODS is fit into actually. So where actually it is fit into out of all trigger based, out of all log based and event processors. So where actually our the BODS is fit into. That's where actually you have to be very careful to understand on the BODS part. Did you understand, guys? Where actually the BODS is really and actually used in this particular scenario, loading into an SAP video, loading into an SAP HANA. So where actually you are going to use the SAP BODS. Okay. So it seems to be you guys are already well versed about on how an SAP HANA and how the videos are loaded and corrected and all. So let's not waste our time. Let's go to the next slide. The slide will give you. So what is a difference between the previous databases and the current database called an SAP HANA? In an earlier approach, if you observe carefully here, it's very important. So in the earlier approach, so what we have here is, so we have a database and we have an application layer. See here. When I say database layer, so there will be less stress on the database layer if you are writing any particular query at your application layer. So because of this particular reason, what actually happens, there will be more resources will be consumed by the application layer, and there will be less stress on the database layer. Because of that particular reason, the application layer has to take care of an calculation engine. So because of that, it has to do a lot of for calculations and all, and there are a lot of hurdles for that calculation that is happening by the application layer. Because of that particular reason, so what actually happens here is, so you are going to use a SAP HANA. When I say SAP HANA, see here there will be more stress on the application, not an application layer. There will be more stress on the application layer. So application layer will have a less stress, and the database layer will have a more stress here. The reverse, quite reverse. So that's the reason why the SAP HANA is very, very important from the calculation standpoint. So from the calculation standpoint, so you need to have an application layer, and the database layer also will be more stressed in the SAP HANA as a data target. And so if you are trying to have a reporting using any object tools, any non-object tools, any dashboarding tools, if you want to create reports on top of an SAP HANA, it will be very easy for them, because all the calculations, all the what do you call data loading, everything will be done on into the SAP HANA because of these reasons. Okay, so having this particular knowledge now, so we will see that. So till now we have gone through like also more about an SAP HANA. Now we will see that we will try to understand more about an SAP BODS. More about an SAP BODS. What actually the BODS and SAP HANA integration has to happen. So this is where actually you all understand here. So we have something called an SAP ECC system. We have something called an SAP BW system, open hub tables we have. We have something called as the source system we have. So, and also we have now an SAP BODS, the 4.1. Of course, the diagram says the 4.1, 4.0, don't go with the diagram. So it is a 4.2 actually. So now we have something called a repository. And once we have a repository, the metadata, so you will have an SAP HANA Studio is there. And so you are going to pass the metadata information. The repository of the BODS will be configured in an SAP HANA Studio. And similarly, so with this, so you are also going to make use of a data loading into an SAP HANA. So we will see that what is the SAP HANA Studio and where is an SAP HANA Studio and all and everything. That we will see that. You don't worry about that point. So now, so we will you are able to see the data integration part of an SAP BODS and SAP HANA. So SAP ERP system, BW system, and any source system. Now, before starting up your loading, so you have to make sure that our BODS metadata repository information is registered in the SAP HANA Studio. So that is a very, very important point. Once that activity is completed, then it is very easy for you to proceed with like to perform the data loading into an SAP HANA database actually. Okay. So now these are all some steps actually I have mentioned, like import an SAP BODS metadata into SAP HANA. So how to do that and all and everything. See here. So in an SAP HANA Studio we have something called as an import. So you configure import server here. There are also some process flows actually. Configure an SAP target system, import metadata into data services, and import SAP metadata via SAP services, data services and SAP HANA. So you can go through this particular flow chart in the PPT what I have attached previously. What you can do is you can always follow this particular flow chart, and you will be able to understand very much on this particular the SAP what do you call as the SAP HANA and SAP data services.
So you have to make sure that whenever we are discussing regarding an SAP HANA, you have to see that SAP HANA is a database. Like on SQL Server and Oracle, SAP HANA is also a database, but it has some more features as mentioned the previously from the hardware innovations and software technology innovations. So now within an SAP HANA Studio is like your SQL Server Management Studio. So if you remember, we have logged into the SQL Server Management Studio. Then we have created tables, we have loaded, we have deleted some tables, we have updated some tables. All the DTL, DDL, TML statements of the SQL can be written in an SAP HANA statement sequence. So, like till now we have used the SQL Server. In a similar fashion, the SAP HANA Studio is having something called as the modeling requirements. So SAP HANA Studio will also have a capabilities what you are able to see in the SQL Server Management Studio. So till now we have gone through SQL Server Management Studio and then SAP HANA Studio. So all of them will have the same features. But now I'm just trying to like give you the overview of an SAP HANA Studio. So the SAP HANA Studio is used to create the information models like an attribute view, analytics view, and the calculation view. The information models are used to create multiple views of a transactional data that can be used for analytic purposes. So we are going to create a view. The main aim of a SAP HANA Studio would be to create what you call as information models. When I say information models, what are those information models? Those information models are attribute views, analytic views, and the calculation view, and also the calculation view with enhanced analytic view. These are the four types, or you can say that mainly three types of what do you call views, non-materialized views. When I say non-materialized views, you have to just Google it. Non-materialized views means the view that doesn't have a data, but that will have a structure of it. Whenever we are going to preview the data of the view, then the view will refer to the original table where actually the data is actually stored. And now we will try to load it into or we will try to expose these information models to outside world, and they will be able to see automatically. So that is what actually from the SAP HANA Studio features standpoint. And this is finally very, very important. So when I say very, very important, so you have something called as an Explorer, Crystal Reports Enterprise, Dashboards, Semantic Layer Universe, and Web Intelligence. These are all the different reporting tools. On top of this in SAP HANA, after loading the data into SAP HANA by the BODS, the SAP HANA, on the top of an SAP HANA, we will be creating a lot of things like crystal reports, web intelligence reports, dashboards, Lumira, files, Lumira dashboard, visualization. So all these different things on top of an SAP HANA with the different drivers will be used here. Okay. So this is all about an SAP HANA reporting. It's SAP HANA all view with an SAP BODS and all and everything. So now we will concentrate our time on the what you call as the practical session. We will try to log into an SAP BODS server, and so we will try to connect to SAP HANA. Then we will be able to load the data into SAP HANA. Okay. So before I start the session. So just give me 2 minutes break. I will be back in 2 minutes. Okay. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks for being on hold, guys. Thank you very much. So now we will try to jump on the server and we will try to see how to load it into an SAP HANA. But before that, we will try to log into SAP HANA Studio. So currently we are logged into an SAP HANA Studio. See here, this studio is something like your. So we have something like tables, we have something like attribute views, we have something like schema, and etc. we have here. Okay. The first we will be loading the data into an SAP HANA. Then we will be doing some like the modeling in the SAP HANA. Then we will try to create some reports. That is like end to end how actually the things will happen within the from the SAP HANA the standpoint, actually the reporting standpoint and all and everything. Now, so we will see that whether we have an access or not for the SAP HANA is considered. So HANA underscore connection. Let us see whether we have an access. HANA as a target. Let us see we have HANA user. Okay. So like what we did for the SQL server as a target. So similarly, so we will also do the creation of an SAP HANA Studio. SAP HANA connection actually. Here I am trying to get the details of it. So this is the user. What is the password for that? Okay. Okay. We will try to create a data store here. HANA underscore connection. HANA is your database. So HANA is an SAP database type of data store has to be created for that. So currently we have only one version of an SAP HANA. So when it is 1.ax. So database server name would be something like what do you call as HANA server. That's what I feel. HANA server. So HANA user. So what is the password? I forgot. We enter the password 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess. Apply. It says that there is a problem. What is that? Okay. Oh, 30715. This is the port number we have to pass. So let us see. apply and OK. Now we have created HANA connection. Okay, HANA connection we have completed actually. So now I will have the project created for that, or else I will directly create a job. Let us see that whether it is possible to create a job without a project. So that is what you have to see. Whether we can create a job directly without creating a project. That is what we have to understand here. See, yes, we don't have any option. So without the creation of a job, without creation of a project. New project. Tutorial demo. It's already exists. So open an existing one. 6 a.m. here. Okay, seems to be something else. So we'll create SAP ECC. Load. So data flow. Load. So we will be finding out what is our ECC connection data stored here. We have for ECC. Yes, let us see here. So where is that? ECC connection. So ECC connection. So right click. Okay, let us try to create a new one then. So ECC underscore connection, ECC underscore connection. So we have a database here, and so we need to have a SAP application type of data store has to be created here. What is the database server name? That is what you have to see here. What is your database server name? So my database server name would be properties. Properties, you have EHP7 server, copy, and we have something for SAP HANA 9, HANA 2, 3, 4. Not an 800. 800 only. And if you go to the properties, you will get at 67, so 867, pass the 67 value here. So now apply. It says that your account is not validity state. Oh, that is a problem we have. Not a problem. We have a different server. We will try to do that in real quick. So, right, we have a EC connection here already. Now I see that, so we will take one of the SAP HANA connectivity. SAP HANA. Edit. HANA. YKH HANA 07. We're trying to use an existing the data store. It says that the connection has a failure. So no. HANA DS. Okay, in Genentech server the connection is failure. It seems to be. Okay, so we will see that one of the table. What is that table? 1 second. Oh, great. Our original server is working fine actually. Okay, so rather than checking this, you can also take one more any particular table as a source. You can always take that, something like make it like the permanent table. Simply drag and drop. Try to extract the data what we have here. Here we have something called a supplier ID, and what you can do is you can use some query transformation. You can use a supplier ID as well here. So otherwise what I will do is I will try to take one file rather than wasting our time. So I will take something called a self project. In self project I will say that sales and fees by quarter, right? There is a file I have. Okay, let us say it's better to take this file, copy this. Okay, again I think they have a problem with the connectivity and all. That's fine. Now we will be loading into our SAP HANA. As usual, take a template table here and SAP HANA, right? HANA connection, see here, and supplier load. Execute the job. The job is successfully loaded. So which means to say that we are able to load 29 records into an SAP HANA Studio, SAP HANA. Now we will logging into an SAP HANA Studio and we will try to verify where actually we have your data. So my data is there in the schema called HANA user schema. Where is that HANA user schema? Here this is what HANA user schema. Inside this HANA user schema, inside your tables, you would be able to see your table. What is my table? Suppliers load. SUP suppliers. Where is that? Where is that? Suppliers. See here. This is what your suppliers load. Right click and you can say that open data preview. See here. Whatever the information that you are able to see here. So similarly, you can do a lot more. If you have any VBAK table, so yes, see here the VBAK table that I already loaded for other. So whenever the server is working, see here this is a VBAK table. So similarly, we have something called as VBAP table. You can verify it. So similarly, we have something called as VBEP. So all the tables using BODF, simply drag and drop. That's it. So we are using some supplier table from the SQL Server actually. So what you can do is you can also use any standard the table for ECC. So since it is not working here, we will try to resolve with the tech server guy and we will try to resolve the issue as soon as possible. And similarly, if you have any extractors like ODP objects, you can always get those. Similarly, we have something called as an ECC underscore connection, ECC underscore data. So we have some tables called VBAK table. Simply drag and drop. So once you have created a data flow, this is a data flow we have. Now copy it. If you need to have all or if you need only few, you can simply drag and drop. And load it into the SAP HANA. That's it. Like this. ZVBAK. Simply execute the job. But job will fail because we don't have a ECC connection, proper ECC connection. Okay, so we are talking about a normal data flow, and that kind of normal data flow itself has a drag and drop the ECC table as a source, and they have loaded the data into the SAP HANA. It is trying to verify, and it is trying to check whether it has any problem or not, or something like that. If it is successful, then we are lucky because earlier we see that there is some connectivity issues to the SAP ECC system. If we are loaded, oh great, great, great. See here, we are able to load it into the target system. Okay, so this is what actually happens here. So we are able to load it into the target system of ZVBAK. Luckily, we got work here. Okay, great. So right click and okay, he is logged in with an 8-bit guy. Okay. So that's the reason why it is ran into such. Great. See here. Now we have an ECC and we are trying to load it into our SAP HANA system. Okay. If you can go there in your SAP HANA studio and you can search with ZVBAK. Where is that ZVBAK? ZVBAK. Oh, ZVBAK7. You couldn't able to see that. Okay, we will do one thing, not a problem. We will right click at the catalog level and we'll try to refresh it and go to the HANA user now. Okay. And inside HANA user you have something called as tables, right? So inside your tables you have something called as what you call as ZVBAK. So let us go there. See here you are able to see ZVBAK. Open sales data. So you see that it's the maximum rows that is showing. If you want to see like select star, so you have to go to the quick launch and you have to go to the SQL console here. You can say that the select star from ZVBAK. You can also do that on the PowerPoint top. See here, it is showing all. So how many records it is retrieving and all and everything. Now if you want to get a count of it, right, so this is a 10,500 records got loaded into the target system. So this is what actually happens here. So getting my point, this is how actually the ECC system, the ECC data will be loaded into the target system called SAP HANA. This is a very, very important the point needs to be considered here. So whenever we are talking about an SAP, the connection, the SAP system and all and everything. So this is how actually, so we have to proceed with the ECC extraction and loading into SAP HANA. So you got my point, what I mean to say here, what we are trying to achieve here. Yes, so luckily I also got an SAP BW is also working here, seems to be the BW underscore DS. And let us see here. See, if you double click on the BW underscore DS, you will see what are all the objects where the BW can give us. What are all the objects where BW can proceed us. See here. So these are all the objects we have. So this is called as something like an open hub tables. So these are all called as your info areas. See here. These are all your info areas. In your respective info areas, what is your table, system tables, here underscore BIC underscore BIO. All the SAP BW related stuff will be shown here. What you want to have an access, not all and everything. So this is where actually you are going to proceed with the SAP BW the connection actually. The same way, the same thing, but only change we got it, only advantage we got here is, so the guy who is an administrator, we got that user ID and password. That's the reason it is successful. So we have searched for all and all. So finally, luckily at the end, we are able to find out some data source where they are configured with an SAP administrator at their company and whatever it is. So that's the reason why. So this is where. So what you were able to see that in SAP BW, you see that functions, you see the IOPS, you see that open up tables, and you see the table. So if anybody has an SAP BW experience in this session, can you explain me so how actually what you call as the data will get loaded into an SAP BW in general, not with respect to BODS. So how the data will get loaded into SAP BW, or the data will get extracted from SAP BW. Any guesses should be fine. Whether it will follow the same process, or there is separate process for loading and separate process for extraction of the data. You understand my point? Chandra, Don, Jane, Michael, Rajan. Okay, not a problem. So we will see in detail. So how actually the SAP BW, the loading into another BW is different. The extraction from another BW is different. So how to do that and all everything that we will see in the in next session. But in this session, we have gone through how actually that ECC extraction will be happening. The extraction will be happening from the ECC system. How actually we are going to extract data from ECC and loading into an SAP HANA system. In the next session, so we will try to understand. So, but before that, what we have covered in today's session, that we will see that. So we have covered something like an SAP HANA Studio. So we have worked on the data integration, data extraction from an SAP easy system, and this is pending BI. Data ABAP data flows, we already gone through that. That is not pending. Data extraction from BW is pending. Data ECC extractors, you can just play at your end. It's simply drag and drop. You don't have to worry about that. And I think another 2 sessions to complete everything. And after that, so for especially I'm referring to SAP BODS. After that, we have the contributions to okay. So that is all about for now actually. We need another 2 sessions approximately, and so we'll proceed from there. So what we need to learn and all and everything. Okay. In the meantime, so I would ask the server guy to configure the data stores because everything seems to be giving an error message. And please try to create your own data stores with your servers. So in tomorrow's session, we will see that. What we will see that. Thank you very much, Chandra. Yes, I have some cough, cold, and body pains, whatnot, everything I have. So, thank you very much, Chandra. Thank you. So, uh, in tomorrow's session, we will discuss something like an SAP BW, connection with an SAP BODS. And we will see that what is the difference between, if you observe carefully here, while creating what do you call it, while creating an SAP BW connection actually. So we have actually two types of connections are possible here. See here, SAP BW as a source and SAP BW as a target. So that's where actually you have to be a bit careful. Why actually we have two in general? So for an SAP SQL Server, we have only one data store, even if it is for the data retrieval or if it is a data loading. Even for other things also, JD Edwards, Oracle, but for SAP BW, why we have two data stores? SAP BW source and SAP BW target. That is the speciality within SAP BW. While loading into SAP BW, we need to create an SAP BW target type of data store. While loading into SAP, while extract data from SAP BW, we have to use another type of what you call as another type of data store called SAP BW source. So what is the difference between the two? Why actually we have to do that? So the guys who already have the BW experience, that is very easy for them to understand. But the guys who don't have an SAP BW experience, so it is a bit tough to understand, but not a problem. We will see that everything, not a problem at all. So that is all about like SAP BW source and SAP BW target that we will see. So the topics, main topics that are pending are SAP BW extraction, SAP ECC extraction, extraction is completed, loading process into IDOC. We will see that that's it, like in a DQM, data quality management with an address cleanse. And we also have something called a ZO4. And we have something called as so variables and parameters. So these are the main three topics we have on loading events. SAP BW extraction and SAP BW loading. Okay, so these are the four main topics that are left actually. In coming session, we will try to complete these two, or at least try to these two. We will try to complete it, or at least we will try to complete these two last two and the first one. And because for this I have to work with the server guy loading into IDOC, whether I have properly they have configured IDOC or not, something like that. What is the process? The process is all that you will understand, but I have to show you, execute and show you. That's the only challenge I have. That I will talk to them and will proceed from there. Okay. In next session, we will see that address class and geocoding. After that, we will see that variables and parameters. And after that, we will see that asset variable extraction and load, stuff like that. That is what we are going to see there. In the meantime, like I have a lot of issues with the direct servers. So I will try to make sure that, I will talk to the respective server guy that I will send an email to that, like you need to have each and every server, a data store has to be created for that. Once you have data store is created, then you can have it connected to SAP HANA. And you need to have connectivity to SAP, whatever the ECC system, and even the BW system as well. Okay, that is only pending from his there. I'm not sure whether it will work. I mean to say, because it's maybe the violation, like so into the Google Drive or not, Chandra. That is the point. Yeah, we will connect after this call, Chandra. Okay, just be online. So if you don't have any questions, guys, so please drop off, and and so we'll proceed from there. That's all today from my end. Yeah.